7. I have lost count. Welcome on in, race fans, to tonight's event here in the All-American Racing League. It's time for round number 2 here in the Auto Club Speedway under the lights and with a packed field in Southern California. Joining me alongside as always, as most of the time here for the All-American Racing League, is my co-host Tom Richter. How's it going tonight, Tom?
Hey, it's going all right. Good evening and happy Saturday to you, and happy Saturday night to everybody out there on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. We are out here tonight, out west, for race number 2 of the season, the Arie Designs 200 at Auto Club, where a lot of people, Arie, would say that the season begins tonight.
That's right. Tonight's going to be the first real test on a non-drafting track, which I'll stall myself for half a second there and say it's kind of ironic because you are going to do quite a bit of drafting at this track, but it's different. You're not full throttle throughout the corners, and therefore it's not a full-on drafting track. Here's where we're going to see some more off-throttle time. It's going to be put more into the driver's hands and more of what we'll see throughout the season in these traditional ovals, if you will. So who's going to rise to the top? Who's going to show speed? Who's going to go out there and put their name in victory lane by the end of the day? I'm excited to find out, and couldn't be a better track to kind of open the more traditional ovals of the season, in my opinion.
It certainly couldn't be, Arie, and you know, we move on to the next couple of races here in the All-American Racing League. We've got Phoenix next week, we've got Dover the week after, and then we take a turn for both the left and the right before we see Sonoma Raceway.
I really like the opening part of the schedule, Tom. You know I'm a little biased, especially when they put Sonoma on there. I mean, it is the best road course we go to, so looking forward to that one. Should be a good bunch of tests early on, and I do actually really like Dover being early in the season. I've never considered it before, but I think that's a fun little change-up.
It certainly is. Dover is a very challenging track to run, and you know, so are all of these tracks that these drivers are going to make their way out to this season as we follow the action along here on Saturday nights. A couple of minutes remaining out in the initial practice out here tonight. Arie, we have Cody Gibson, Ryan Rose, Josh Kanata as the top 3. Last week's winner was Zach Wake. Zach is currently 21st on the board.
21st on the board with some speed defined in qualifying and later on in the race. Though there's only so much you can kind of take and absorb from the 1 hour practice session that we get before the race, because I feel like you can only learn so much in that 1 hour, and come race time, you're learning about 5 times as much information per lap when you're actually in the race. So there's a great chance that you see drivers shoot up the board. Maybe they don't have a good practice, but all of a sudden, you know, they got a top 10 car, top 5 car as the race goes on. So you never know, and there's a lot to learn as long as, you know, you're the kind of driver who's always ready to absorb any of the information thrown your way.
Following along right now with the third place driver in practice, that is Josh Kanata, and you're going to see these drivers hitting the upper thresholds of close to 200 miles an hour on the front stretch, as Josh is pulling a little bit of draft from the 12 of Mark Arthur right there in front of him. But you're going to see these drivers, he's at 170 miles an hour, gets tight on the exit of the corner there. That's not what he's going to want to do in the race, but a lot of speed to be had out here tonight.
I think we're in for a real fun battle. These full fields at a track like Auto Club, with how wide it is, Tom, how many lanes you have to race with. I'm super excited to see how everyone fans out into the corners, especially on these restarts. You know, we'll see 3 wide like it's nothing. We'll see 4, maybe even 5 wide at times. I think it's going to put on a really good show, and I think the fact that we're racing in these formerly Xfinity, now O'Reilly Series cars, these are, you know, going to put on, I think, a really good show for us.
They certainly will, and, you know, we did a race here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network just a couple of days ago, and we saw a lot of different lines being used. Granted that was in the trucks, but what we saw on Tuesday night is that the top side was very defensive, and it was hard to make a pass if you got lined up on the outside.
It certainly was, and I would expect to see much of the same here this evening. Now, I haven't raced this car at this track in a little bit, so I can't speak too much to it, but if there's one thing I know about Auto Club, it doesn't really matter what car you're in. Being on that outside line through the corners is going to give you an advantage. Maybe on newer tires, you can make moves work and be aggressive on the bottom, but as the run goes on, that outside line is just really good for some defensive driving.
Well, as opening practice starts to close out here with just about 10 seconds remaining, fastest man of the hour is Cody Gibson at the top of the charts, followed by Ryan Rose, Josh Kanata, Nick Crawford, and Brad Holmes rounds out the top 5 in practice as the checkered flag comes out. And what do you say? You want to go qualifying?
I'm ready for some qualifying. I'm eagerly anticipating the first real, I guess, speed test, real showing of pace on a more traditional oval that we'll get, just coming off of Daytona in round 1. This is the first qualifying session of the season in which we're going to see which drivers are the drivers to beat when it comes to these more traditional tracks.
Couple of cars lining up on pit road. Gabriel Ngoli hitting pit road. Brad Holmes, Cody Gibson, Alex Fuller. Nolan Milnes looks like he is going to be one of the first cars to be rolling out of pit road. So follow along here with Nolan. Had a great run last week in this number 1 Chevy Camaro out here, and see if he's able to back it up with another good run out here tonight, as the driver's going to have 2 laps to put down their hot lap.
2 laps to get the hot lap down, and lap 1 is usually going to be a lap where you're just kind of banking in a time, maybe warming up the tires a little bit. More often than not, you're going to see the faster lap come around on the second go. That should be no different here in Auto Club tonight. And on board with Nolan Milnes, driver the number 1, won a stage last week in Daytona, one of our 2 stage winners so far this season, so came out with a good points day. Wasn't quite the win he was looking for, but nonetheless comes into Auto Club with a decent amount of points and a decent amount of momentum.
He's going to come down here into turn number 1 for the first green flag lap of his qualifying attempt out here this evening, and he's going to carry that momentum down. Arie, I know that a lot of drivers, they like to use that outside line on turn number 1, try to carry as much momentum as they possibly can to the start-finish line, and he's going to bring it all the way down to the white line in turns 3 and 4. Probably a little bit surprising for me. I probably would have expected to try to carry that momentum out of 4 and set yourself up for a good second lap, but he's about to come across and see what time he posts the first time as we wait for more drivers to post the times. Currently holding position number 1 after his first lap.
That's right. He's holding in position number 1 with that 40.340. I wonder how much of that is other drivers taking that high side to set up for that second lap. We'll see as Milnes holds on to P1 down the backstretch and into 3 and 4 for the final time down to the white line. Once again for Nolan. Going to take that black and orange Chevy Camaro up to only about the middle of the track, dive it back down, cut that apron across the line, and we'll see if we get an improvement on lap number 2. In P1, stays P1. It is no improvement by the looks of it, as Cody Gibson jumps up to P2, Matt Semple up to P3, and we are now on board with Joseph Klein.
Joseph Klein put down his first lap, good enough for 10th on the board as he works down the backstretch. For lap number 2, Ryan Rose just completes his second lap, going to go to second on the timing charts out here. Joseph Klein had a great run last week at Daytona at the season opener, almost got a victory, and had to walk away with a second place finish. Was the number 5 of Joseph Klein, and see what he's able to do as he completes his second lap. Chad Wilson jumps up to 5th on his second lap, put Joseph Klein to a top 5 starting position as it stands right now. Other drivers out on track beginning their qualifying times. Larry Bellin, the 43.
Larry Bellin, that can't miss Purple Lightning 5 Kings Motorsports Chevy Camaro, going to come across the line. Driver 43 is going to put it P22 that time around. While we were watching the previous car on track, Nick Crawford in the 74 is our provisional pole sitter, beating out Nolan Milnes by just about 200ths of a second. Larry Bell going to be bringing us all the way down the backstretch, keep that car pinned against the wall. We'll switch over to last week's winner, Zachary Wake in the 39 Ford Mustang, brings it all the way down the track across the start-finish line, currently 24th, and with that lap, jumps up to P18. for previous race winner.
All right, 2 laps down for last week's winner, Zachary Wake, following Josh Kanata out here right now. 26th his first time by. See what he's able to do in that number 16 Toyota Supra out here down the backstretch, as he's got some time to pick up if he wants to improve his starting position. Other drivers have made their way up into the top 10. Tanner Marr currently sits 10th. Kyle Wellman and Mark Arthur also inside the top 10.
Coming off of turn number 4 is the 16 of Kanata, dives it down across the apron and to the line. Let's see if we get an improvement on lap number 2. Oh, Tom, that is an improvement. Gonna go top of the board for the 16 by just about 0.06 of a second. And given the intervals here, Tom, given the gap, that's a pretty sizable margin up front.
That's a huge second lap there for Josh. Fastest in qualifying, as every other driver has completed their qualifying attempts out here tonight. So Josh Kanata going to be showing us to the green flag out here tonight. That was a great improvement. Ran 24th on his first lap. That was a huge pickup.
Did it at the right time, just as qualifying was wrapping up. Just about go out there and break the hearts of every other driver who thought they had their spot filled. But alas, it was not meant to be. Let's get ready to take a look at our grid here for race number 2 in Auto Club. Starting on the pole, it's Joshua Kanata, driver of the 16. And alongside on the front row, going to be Nick Crawford in the 74. Row 2 has Nolan Milnes and Ryan Rose. Row 3, Cody Gibson and Joseph Klein. Row 4, Chad Wilson in the 97, Matt Semple in the 8. And row 5, Mark Arthur and Kyle Wellman.
Starting just outside the top 10 is Tanner Marr, that number 4 Supra out here tonight. Joey Gattina starts alongside Tanner Marr. Gabriel Ngoli is going to roll off 13th, followed by Chris Carroll in 14th. The top 15 is rounded out by Brad Holmes, and Alex Fuller starts 16th. Dakota Moniz rolls off 17th with Stoney Benefield. Right behind him, Matthew Pavlik and Christopher Pugliese is the top 20.
Just outside of the top 20, Zachary Wake in 21st, Larry Bell in 22nd, John Fowler in the 23 car, followed by Eli Sasek in the 24th position, William Bruton in 25th, Trevor Harmon, Caleb West, Brian Troy, Nicholas Sasek, and Shane Johnson round out our top 30.
And our field of 34 drivers out here tonight is rounded out by Antonio Bannister starting 31st with Jackson West in 32nd, Zachary Tyler, and finally, the only driver that did not take a time in our qualifying out here tonight is the 35 of Brian Workman.
All right, Tom. Field getting gridded on pit road, lined up behind that pace car, getting ready to bring us to the action. We've got 100 laps this evening in Southern California. Racing to the first stage is going to be lap 20, and that is just shy of what we expect a fuel run to be in these cars. So I don't think we'll see any drivers running out of fuel towards the end, but we will be putting it right about on that number.
Yes, we certainly will, and this may be a case of your mileage may vary. We've heard anywhere between 20 to 23 laps on fuel. Second stage going to be at lap number 50. So that one should not have any sort of fuel issues. We should see a green flag pit stop in between stage 1 and 2, but the field is getting ready to roll out here on a Saturday night.
I tell you what, from what we've seen in the preseason and even a lot of the action that we saw at Daytona last week, that front row, and I would even say the entire top 5 is made up of a number of drivers that I would expect to be contenders week in and week out here in the brand new All-American Racing League. Joshua Kanata, Nick Crawford, Nolan Milnes, Ryan Rose, Cody Gibson, 5 drivers that I expect to see up towards the front as we move forward, and kind of setting that in stone with tonight's qualifying session here in Auto Club. It's going to be Joshua Kanata, Nick Crawford, a couple of Toyota Supras on the front row leading us to green.
We get set to go green flag racing for the second time out here from the All-American Racing League, live here every single Saturday night on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. Arie, let's get that pace car down and out of the way and get ready to go. 200-mile-an-hour racing, side by side, 3 wide, maybe even at times 4 wide racing. It's go time here in the All-American Racing League for the Arie Designs 200 at Auto Club.
Green flag is in the air, and drivers are going to hit that loud pedal. A little bit of a wiggle out of every one of these cars as they hit that loud pedal, get their cars up through the gears and down into turn one. We can see Nolan Milnes already looking to go low on our pole sitter, Joshua Kanata, down into turn one. We're going to fan them all out 2, 3 wide all throughout the field and get it sorted down the backstretch. It's going to be Josh Kanata in the lead.
Side by side, they race down the backstretch. 200 miles an hour is what they're going to be approaching. Josh Kanata is able to open up about a 1 car length lead over second place Nolan Milnes, and Nick Crawford currently running in a tight battle for second place. But don't look now, you got Cody Gibson right up in the hunt as well.
That Flamin' Hot Cheetos Chevy Camaro, you can't miss him. And when you see that Cheetos logo, you know who it is. Cody Gibson making that high side work, putting the pressure on the front half of the top 5 early in this race. Let's not forget that Gibson was fastest in practice for the entire session, has some speed, won at this track a couple days ago in the truck in a different league. So Cody Gibson's out here to make a statement tonight.
Taking a look at Joseph Klein right now as the field starts the single file out in front of him just a little bit for the time being. He's going to take a look down onto the inside of Ryan Rose in 78, try to take a top 5 running position away from Ryan Rose. Not going to be able to make the pass clear on the exit of turn number 4, but here comes Semple right behind him.
Matt Semple looking to get right up to the back of Ryan Rose, give him a push into turn number 1. We are 2 by 2 for much of the field throughout as the battle for the race lead, battle for the entire top 5 continues. Looks like we got a 3-car breakaway just a little bit up front between Gibson and Milnes, 3rd and 4th. A little further back, our first 2 by 2 action. That's going to be Kyle Wellman in the 42, Chad Wilson in the 97, being pushed down into turn number 3. Going to take that Mobil 1 Ford Mustang to the inside. Kyle Wellman fights back on the outside, and we'll see how long these guys can keep it going before we start to feel it on those tires. You can see Matt Semple now making a move to the outside of Ryan Rose.
Chad Wilson took a look down onto the inside of turn number 3, was not able to make the pass, and now he is in. This is what we're going to call the danger zone out here tonight, Arie, as we take a look at the 97 on the inside lane. He's got to find a hole up to the top shelf of the speedway because he's got a whole line of cars coming right behind him. He could lose 2 or 3 or 4 spots here.
He certainly could as Ryan Rose gets into the back of Nolan Milnes. Milnes and the one's going to have to check up big time. Going to lose a couple, 2, 3 spots on the outside, as is Ryan Rose. Chad Wilson elects to go to the inside yet again. Can't quite get to the outside just yet. And that's going to bring in the 14 and the 51 as we head down towards turn number 1.
This is what we're going to be seeing all night. And as these stages tick along here, stage points going to be handed out again at lap number 20 and lap number 50. That's where the stage points are going to be handed out, and those can certainly help your night. But Cody Gibson putting the heat onto the 74 here as we have a battle for second place, heating up behind the race leader, Josh Kanata.
The pressure is on as driver 7 looks to the inside of driver 74. Can he clear off of 4? No, he can't down the front straightaway. That 74 is going to have the advantage of the draft behind Josh Kanata, our race leader. Can Cody Gibson clear into 1? No, but through the corner, he might even get to the inside of our race leader. Can Cody Gibson making that inside work pretty well, all things considered?
Yeah, for not having any draft down there on the inside, that 7 machine is kind of holding his own out here right now as Nick Crawford. He's able to pull up a little bit of draft behind the 16, but Joseph Klein is coming into the camera frame here, and where Joseph decides to go could ultimately impact Cody Gibson. But Cody's going to find some daylight, slot back into the second place position, net gain 1 position for Cody Gibson through that encounter.
Couple of quick shout-outs early on in tonight's race. Big movers. Gabriel Goli running in 7th place is up 6 positions from where he started, as is Brad Holmes in the 86. Eli Sasick back in 16th is up 8 positions from where he started. And now the race for the lead is on. Maybe not into turn 3 here, but it is cooking up because Cody Gibson is flying.
That Flamin' Hot Cheetos machine is coming. Last time by was a little bit faster than Josh Kanata as they come across the line, as Cody maybe gets a little bit tight there on the exit of turn number 4. He's going to power down and pick up the draft from the 16 of Kanata as they come across down here at 190 plus miles an hour down to turn number 1. The 7's going to possibly take a look.
That he is, and you can see how Cody Gibson is able to make the center of the corner just work so much better. Entry to middle, and on exit, he's about even with the rest. Given he's on the bottom, he's going to suffer a little bit versus the others, but whereas anyone else would be on the bottom and maybe fall back a lot more down the straightaway, whatever Cody Gibson's doing through these corners, it's working, and it is working well enough that he might not even need the preferred line.
See just out of the camera frame there, Cody Gibson almost clear of the 16 at the start finish line. Gonna have to wait one more corner and see if he's able to take the lead as they come through turns 1 and 2. He's gonna have an opportunity to clear himself here, but it's gonna be close.
That he is. We'll see if we get a crossover from the 16 of Kanata. Yes, we are gonna take that Toyota Supra down to the inside. Look at that run down into turn 3.
Into turn number 3, the battle for the race lead. Josh Kanata back to the race lead as it stands right now. But every time you do that, Arie, it kind of hurts your corner, and you see the effect of it, the cause and effect of Josh Kanata doing that. Now that opens up the door once again for Cody Gibson.
It certainly does, and Gibson's going to clear before we even get into the corner. We'll see if he can make it stick from that shallow entry. One thing to make note of is the drivers right behind, the 74, the 5, the 8. These guys are loving this right now. They want those leaders to keep battling and bring these guys kind of back into the picture. It looks like that's not going to come to fruition as Cody Gibson in the 7 car clears. That's going to be new race leader officially as we get our first caution in timely fashion. We'll see. Looks like issues for John Fowler further back in the field. Get the field slowed up just a little bit and see if we can't see what happened to driver 23.
All right, taking a look at the exit of turn number 2 there, and it looks like Stoney Benfield, possibly, I want to say that was Stoney, possibly getting into the right rear quarter panel of that 23.
Yeah.
We'll take another look at what may have happened here between those two drivers real quick.
I would love to get an onboard if we can. Maybe, I don't know if we can get it far enough back here to catch the onboard of Stoney Benfield. Maybe give us a better indication as to how this plays out. So the 19's getting into the wall, and Benfield's going to check up a little bit, uncertain. And you got to figure this is all at race speed. So this is happening in the blink of an eye. I think it's that hesitation, Tom, that brings the 75 down into the 23. I don't think Stoney's intending to do anything nefarious here. I think he's just unsure after what the 19 did getting into the wall. He's not sure where to go, and in that hesitation, drifts down into the 23 and collects him into the wall.
All right, let's take one more look at it. From the contact, bringing out our first yellow flag of the night. See Stoney Benfield up on the outside lane. That kind of paints a different picture there, Arie. You see the 23 starts to slide up just a little bit and then think twice about it, and then maybe just a little bit more real estate being used there. Makes contact right rear quarter panel to left front fender.
Yeah, certainly. And once there's even the slightest bit of a touch between the left front of the 75 and the right rear of the 23, they're hooked together, and there's no getting those cars off of each other. It just kind of compounds from there. So once you touch, you're pretty much hooked, and you're just along for the ride at that point. Unfortunately, a couple other drivers involved in that incident. Puglisi in that bright cyan and yellow car. The 23 is going to bring it down on pit road. Got some damage on the right front to try and get fixed. A couple other drivers on pit road as well getting some damage fixed. Looks like most of our race leaders stay out. They're going to wait for the stage to roll around. But we do got a number of drivers making pit stops. Not all for damage. Gabriel Goli made a stop. Kyle Wellman made a stop. Chad Wilson made a stop. Those look like some routine 4-tire pit stops. We mentioned Puglisi just a little bit ago as well. Brian Wertman was down for some service. Stoney Benfield, John Fowler, Caleb West, Zachary Tyler, and Jackson West all still on pit road.
Drivers working the 11th lap of the event out here tonight underneath the leadership of Cody Gibson. Second place, Josh Kanata. Cody Gibson, got to say, Arie, in the first 11 laps that this race has run, Cody Gibson has improved 4 spots. One of the bigger movers out here tonight, obviously, we've got Brad Holmes up 8 spots, Trevor Harmon up 10 spots, Antonio Bannister up 10 spots, but it's very difficult to improve that early in a race when you're racing for the lead like that.
It certainly is, especially when you're racing around a bunch of people who you don't have a lot of experience racing around, right? Let's not forget that the All-American Racing League is a brand new league, and we're only on race number 2 here. So racing around a lot of people, you know, there's usually going to be a little bit more give. You're going to be a little more uncertain, make a few more hesitations when that is the case. But Cody Gibson drives up to the lead in that first run halfway through stage number 1. And Tom, you and I have both raced Cody Gibson a good amount at this point. If there's one thing that you can count on, it's that you don't want to give Cody Gibson the ability to control this race. That is the last thing you want if you want a chance to win.
No, you do not, but you see Cody Gibson strategically taking the outside lane here, and I like this here, Arie, because Cody Gibson's going to have control of the restart. He gets to determine when to go within the restart box, and he's also going to have the power move on the outside of turn number 2. So I like this for Cody Gibson. Now, Josh Kanada's option here is that he may be able to slide up in front of the 5, in front of Joseph Klein, before that gap is filled. But I do like this move from Cody Gibson, and I do expect to see most of the restart leaders taking the outside lane throughout the course of tonight's event.
I think that 5 car is going to be the biggest X factor on this restart. We'll see what Joseph Klein can do. We got 3 Chevy Camaros lined up nose to tail on the outside line as Barney the flagman has our green flag in the air, ready to drop once we hit that Geico restart zone. It's going to be Cody Gibson, Josh Kanata on the front row as we are back to green.
Everybody hits the loud pedal. They're going to come up through the gears, 4 gears strong, as the field of 34 drivers races down into turn number 1. Cody Gibson is able to clear his way solidly into the race lead, but Joseph Klein to that number 5 took advantage. He may be sliding himself up to slide into second.
I tell you what, Josh Kanata wasn't having any of it. He floored it on entry into the corner, made sure that 16 could slide up into P2, and that's going to bring the 5 and the 74 together. They make contact trying to side draft down the back straightaway, and now the 74, that's Nick Crawford, going to dive way down to the white line and try and move on up, but Joseph Klein in the 5 is not going to have any of it.
Nick Crawford started second on the board out here tonight, looking to get some stage points early in tonight's race, as we see just a handful of laps remaining before we get our first batch of stage points side by side between the 74 of Crawford and the 5 of Klein, and we're 2 and 3 wide racing behind them.
2 and 3 wide all throughout the field as these drivers try to sort themselves out. The battle for stage points is on in the back half of the top 10, but right now we have our eyes glued on P3 between the 5 and the 74. You can't count out Ryan Rose in the 78 or Matt Semple in the 8 yet either.
All right, second through fourth is kind of settled out here, and as soon as I say that, Joseph Klein, he's going to dip below the 74 of Nick Crawford, try to take one more look. You can kind of make these passes on the inside lane here, Arie. Even though you don't necessarily have fresh tires, when the tires have cooled and they've kind of gone through a heat cycle, it kind of brings it back to a point where you can make those passes on the inside line. That opportunity starts to go away the longer you run on a green flag run.
It absolutely does, and let's not forget that most of these drivers up here, in fact, every single one of these drivers up here did not pit under that yellow. We're still working with the original tire set that is now about 16 laps old, with the benefit of a few laps under yellow here. As we come across the line, we'll be working lap 17. It's going to be 4 to go in stage number 1, and the stage point battle is as on as it's ever been.
Ryan Rose edges ahead of the 74 down here into turn number 1, but for how long? Because Nolan Milne's not too far behind. Says, I want to slide up there and take another stage point. See where that one machine goes, as he currently in a battle with Matt Semple and Alex Fuller, Joey Cattina. You could throw an entire blanket over this entire top 10 here, Arie. This is some great racing for stage points in stage number 1.
You certainly could, and one driver to keep an eye on a little further back, that's Chad Wilson in the 97. First driver on brand new tires from that caution has already made his way all the way back up to P14. We saw him just out of frame go about almost 4 wide. through turns 3 and 4 right there. He's going to run out of time to get up there with the leaders, but you can see just how much faster that 97 is through the corners. It's like he's on easy mode, Tom.
My concern for Chad Wilson here, he is the first car to come down on fresh tires. The next car with fresh tires is 22nd. We got to go all the way back to Kyle Wellman. Is the 97 using too much of these tires here in these handful of laps before the stage ends? Will he have the option to stay out and try to flip the stage?
It's a great question. We'll see how it plays out for driver 97 as we look back up towards the front. The battle is on for P2, and this time it's Ryan Rose in that 78 looking to take that Camaro up into P2 past Josh Kanata, our pole sitter, trying to hold on for some good stage points right here. They're going to get close off of 4. Just brush the wall, does Joshua, and that's going to give up 2, 3, 4, 5 positions, 6 positions, maybe down the backstretch. What an awful thing to happen for Joshua Kanata. And now Chad Wilson, we were just talking about, lone car on the outside is going to pass about 4, 5, 6 drivers in one corner.
And he's not done yet. He drops down to the inside lane down here, and he's going to take a look on the 74 of Nick Crawford. He's made his way into the top 5, trying to take even more.
I didn't think he was going to have enough time to get up here, but Chad Wilson in the 97 is now looking for the top 3 to the inside of Ryan Rose in the 78. He might be down a set of tires, but boy, I tell you what, Tom, he is going to get some stage points out of it as we got contact further back between the 51 and the 14. They get it squared away, and for the final time in stage 1, through turns 3 and 4, Cody Gibson is going to hold on. We'll see if Chad Wilson gets there for P2 across the line to the inside of Nolan Mills. He might just get there at the line. It looks like he did, ever so close on that one. We'll see how it plays out with the caution right there. That'll be unofficial as much as it can be, but I tell you what, Tom, what an interesting storyline to follow there with the 97 climbing up through the field on those tires, and all the while Cody Gibson in that 7 will not be denied.
It absolutely is going to be interesting to see what Chad Wilson does here on this yellow flag. Now, logic would say that he's going to stay out, flip the stage, but gotta wonder how much of the good on the good years did he use. Kyle Wellman, other driver that came down on that most recent caution, he finished 9th on the stage, and then you got to go all the way back to 22nd, Gabriel goalie Zachary Tyler in 25th. So a very contrasting story of new tires here.
Certainly the case, and I can't help but wonder, Tom, if it was a play for stage points out of the 97. Let's not forget that last week in the season opener for Mr. Wilson, it was the dead last finish from being involved in the very first wreck and kind of having terminal damage at that point. So, maybe Chad's thinking that's about the worst start to a season as you can get. Maybe it's time to go play for some stage points.
That's a very real possibility here, but with only 5 tires out here tonight, with about 20 to 22 laps on their fuel run, maybe a little bit more, maybe 23, 24 laps. The options are limited here if we do have a late race yellow. Remember, they do have some overtime finishes here.
They absolutely do. I tell you what, I am so incredibly excited to see how all of this plays out. I think that was a fantastic stage 1 with that caution right in the middle to throw some wrenches into the gears. And I tell you what, this time, I think it will come as no surprise that we're going to see most of, if not every single driver down on pit road. And now we get our first test of the pit crews.
All right, so Chad Wilson, the driver that I had circled as a question mark on my whiteboard over here. I've upgraded to a whiteboard this week. Comes down onto pit road, but Cody Gibson brings us down onto pit road, and got to imagine we're going to see most likely 4 tires up and down pit road. Got to make sure we do not get any speeding penalties here and do not slide the box.
Absolutely. I've got my eyes on race control. I'll call out any penalties as I see them. I'm proud of you for upgrading to a whiteboard, Tom. It's nice to have a whiteboard, be able to just go up there and write on the wall at a moment's notice. We got a couple interesting calls right here. Looks like fuel only out of Kyle Wellman, who already took tires under that last caution. And Eli Sassik's going to be up a bunch of positions. Didn't actually stop in the box, just rolled through. As everyone else makes their way off of pit road, Cody Gibson, Nolan Mills, Nick Crawford, Chad Wilson going to be the first 4 off of pit road, all taking 4 tires. So to answer your question there, Tom, Chad Wilson officially down a set compared to all of the rest of the leaders.
Let's take a look here real quick and see if we can't get a better look at what happens to Eli here. Gotta wonder maybe if he misses his box here. All right, coming on board, he's following Larry Bell in. And he qualified 25th, so he is going to be somewhere back here. Not too far down pit road, but...
Oh, sure enough, I think he turned in a little too late. He heard the call and then was like, oh, dang it, I missed. I think I've done that before, Tom. I'll be the first to admit I'm guilty of falling asleep on pit road behind the wheel just a little bit and not realizing until it's a little too late.
And that's very damaging because Eli in that number 19 Toyota Supra is coming back down pit road this time. By there, you see him coming for service this time. But through that cycle, Kyle Wellman has taken the race lead after the end of stage number 1. Cody Gibson going to be joining him up on the front row, followed by Nolan Milnes and Nick Crawford.
Well, I tell you what, Tom, Kyle Wellman is the sole car on old tires here on this restart. Last took tires on that lap, what was it, lap 11 caution? It is now lap 23. Now, we do have some yellow flag laps for all of that, but that's enough that I think we're going to see a little bit of a pace difference out of the 42 versus the rest of the field. How quickly that comes to be, I think will be interesting to see here, but that's going to be that 42 car on the inside with that camo orange and black paint scheme he's got. We're going to keep him circled. Keep an eye on him on this restart and going down into turn 1 and 2 especially. I think most notably, Tom, it's going to be exit of 2 where we might see the biggest difference.
He did also elect to take the inside line down here. I said before very, very publicly and loudly that I would expect to see most of the leaders on the restarts take the outside lane. Well, Wellman proves us wrong, as he's going to elect to restart from the inside lane down here to begin stage number 2 in the Arie Designs 200 at Auto Club from the All-American Racing League.
I tell you what, that 42 has garnered a nickname from those he races with, and it's the Wildman Wellman out front, going to hit that loud pedal and bring us back to green as Barty waves that green flag. Cody Gibson on the outside, going to get some help from Nick Crawford in the 74, and Josh Kanata's going to make it 3 wide down into turn 1. Maybe not 3 wide as Matt Semple can push up the track, but here we go then. Older tires versus newer tires. We'll see how this plays out up front.
Wellman's able to take the race lead as it stands right now, but for how long? That is the question that is on the paper as Cody Gibson takes a look down onto the inside of the 42 of Wellman. 2 tires on old tires on the 42 of Wellman, and that's going to give Cody Gibson the advantage he needs to make the pass down to turn number 3. But here comes Nick Crawford in 3rd place. Quiet night so far for Nick Crawford. Started 2nd on the board, still running solidly up inside the top 5.
That he is, and that 74 car looked racy on the short run at the start of the race. He's looking racy now as we've got a hornet's nest forming further back here in the back half of the top 10. Eyes on Chad Wilson, who is down a set of tires versus everyone else, having taken 2 halfway through stage 1, and then again at the end of the stage. We're riding on board with Brad Holmes in the 86, watching all of this unfold in front of him. Drivers going 2 and 3 wide, low line, middle line, high line, trying to figure out where they can go, where they can find the momentum. And oh, contact between Brad Holmes and the 39. Chad Wilson involved, a handful of other drivers involved. Significant damage to a handful of race cars right here. And we'll look for a replay. Last week's race winner in the 39, Zachary Wake, with some big damage. We were just talking about Chad Wilson tonight. Had a DNF in last week's race, dead last, again being caught up in another accident with some serious damage after a great run in stage 1. Hate to see it. Let's get a replay right here. It looks like it was already happening to that point, man. 2 weeks in a row for the 97. Wrong place, wrong time.
All right, we may have to back up just a little bit here. Not getting exactly what I need to find the call here, but 3 wide down into turn number 3. You see Brad Holmes on the middle Chad Wilson up on the outside, and Zachary Wake on the inside, last week's winner, as you had just mentioned. Zachary Wake's going to slide right up in front of the 97 of Chad Wilson. Absolute wrong place, absolute wrong time for the 97 of Chad Wilson.
It's a great job by some of these other drivers to get checked up, I tell you what.
I was going to say, that was a pretty hard hit for Zach Wake, but I mean, oh, hold on.
Oh, yeah, that suspension's broken. You can see that right front tire going crazy on the 97.
All right, let's take another look here and see between Zach Wake and Brad Holmes as these drivers just going 3 wide. And I don't know if Brad gets a little loose here, Arie.
I think the 30, based on the seams on the track, Tom, I think Brad was just kind of holding that second line off the bottom, and I don't think Zachary was expecting Brad to hold that line. He might have thought Brad was going to drift up the track for a traditional exit, and the 39 just kind of came up, and the 89, or the, Brad Holmes, the 86, he was just kind of there. It's not entirely possible to tell from some of the angles here, but that's the kind of read I'm getting out of it.
Taking a look at Brian Troy's view through that incident, as he's going to take the grass route and keep that car clean. I don't see a whole. I mean, yeah, there's considerable damage on the left side, but I mean, he hit that wall hard with the nose and the 97. His nose honestly looks pretty okay here, Arie.
Yeah, all things considered, I'm surprised that the 39 car is still rolling. That's definitely the speed of impact, more than anything, I think was something that I would have thought would have been terminal in a heartbeat. And, maybe it was cushioned a little bit by the 97 being there and taking a lot of the brunt of that impact right there. So maybe a little lucky for that 39 car, but that's 2 weeks in a row for the 97, and doubly unfortunate for Chad Wilson being the sponsor of tonight's event. Just shout out to Chad for sponsoring tonight's race on my behalf, actually, good friend of mine. But hopefully you can get this luck turned around here one of these days as we watch on board from the 97. Riding his line through turn 3 and 4. Going to come off a 4. And unbeknownst to Chad, there's a race car being thrown his direction and nowhere to go.
Yeah, and then you see him just sliding down the track, unable to keep it out of the 39 for some additional contact down there, but super unfortunate start to the season for the 97 of Chad Wilson. But we're doubled up and we're about ready to go racing once again here.
That we are. Everyone got it sorted out under caution there. No new pit stops up towards the front to mention. We are currently showing 1 black flag on track for the 19 of Eli Sasic. We'll see how that plays out with the restart right there. Don't entirely know what the cause of that one is, but up front, Cody Gibson in control of this race. Going to elect to take the outside line one more time. He's going to put Nick Crawford on the inside in that 74 car, and Kyle Wellman on those old tires still hanging around. Currently in P4, going to be restarting right behind the race leader, and that pretty much makes you P3.
Really impressive run. Obviously, we've had a couple of caution laps here in the past few laps, but really impressive for that 42 to hang on to a 4th place running position. But we're about to find out if he's able to hang on to those positions to close out stage number 2 here as we go back green flag racing once again with 20 laps to go in stage number 2.
Monumental jump from the number 7 of Cody Gibson. Gonna get out into the race lead by about a third of a second right there. Pretty impressive off of the line. That's going to give the 2nd spot to Nick Crawford pretty comfortably. Ryan Rose going to clear for 3rd onto the backstretch, and the battle is on for P4. Kyle Wellman to the outside, Matt Semple to the inside, and let's not forget about our pole sitter, Joshua Kanata, in that 16. Has looked racy all night long, maybe going to take it to the outside and potentially throw a 3 wide.
On the exit of turn number 4, Matt Semple's going to slide right up in front of the 16 of Josh Kanata, and now the outside lane's going to start to make their move forward as the 8 and the 16. Cody Gibson has taken the race lead over Nick Crawford, Ryan Rose. That's the top 3 as they run. First battle we see out on track is the number 8 of Matt Semple, Josh Kanata in that number 16, and Kyle Wellman still hanging on with those tires.
Down the back straightaway we go. The 16 clears Kyle Wellman, and that sorts out the top 5 for the moment. Tanner Marr in that 4. There's a name we haven't really said tonight up to this point, but he's going to take that Toyota Supra to the inside for position number 6 on the track, and he's got it. Move Tanner Marr up another spot, up 5 from where he started. Brad Holmes in that 86 is now the next car, to try and work over Kyle Wellman down into turn 1. We're starting to see those older tires on the 42 car fade and start to cost Kyle those positions.
They start to slide back as he currently runs in 8th place. As we take a look at the battle for 3rd between Semple and Rose, Ryan Rose, on the exit of turn number 2. And you see the momentum there, Arie. That was a great shot of the momentum that Matt Semple has using the outside lane here. Is there ever an option here, Arie, in the Xfinity cars to kind of just send it down there and hopefully it sticks?
Yeah, I think you always have that option. I think realistically in any car you're driving, I mean, if you if you send it hard enough, you never know what can happen here. But I think these cars specifically lend themselves really well to that style of racing, and they tend to race a little bit on the tighter side, I think, which, you know, to a degree might help. If anything, when you overdrive a corner, you're not going to lose the rear end. Instead, you're just going to kind of lose the right front. It'll kind of plow up towards the wall, and that creates these crossover effects that we all love to watch so much. So I think it's a good car for that. It's a good car for a little bit of beating and banging, some bump drafting with how the bumpers line up, and I think it provides some really good racing.
It absolutely does, and we're seeing some great racing here. A little bit further back towards the back half of the top 10 right now, following Gabriel Goli, Mark Arthur, Matthew Pavlik, Zachary Tyler, and the likes. Around here is stage number 2. Going to be coming to a close here in the next handful of laps, and more stage points are up for grabs. But side-by-side racing, 3-wide racing at times, as we see the 23 get into the wall on the outside lane.
I want to say that was the 83 of William Bruton a little further back in that silver car. Hit the wall a couple of times, keeps it going. Doesn't look like there's any damage too significant right there as we continue to watch this battle right here for P9 on the track between the 12 of Mark Arthur and the 55 of Gabriel Goli. These two have been lingering around the back half of the top 10 or just outside of it for much of the evening so far. Just behind him, Zachary Tyler in the 29 car is up 22 positions on the race. Our biggest mover so far.
Biggest mover of the night so far. Started 33rd in tonight's race. Did not get the qualifying effort that he wanted to out here tonight, but certainly making his way forward, trying to get some stage points for stage number 2 in that Penn State Ford Mustang out here tonight.
Another thing to mention, Tom, is that this stage is longer than the last one. On its own, you're not going to make it on fuel. We did get that caution early on in the stage, a caution in which most of the leaders elected not to pit. Now, there are drivers further back who did, and you've got to wonder if they aren't good on fuel, maybe with a lap or two of saving. But these drivers up front, they probably can't make it unless they do some really heavy saving. So I would expect to see a split as we get ready to come down towards the closing laps of stage 2 here between drivers who have to pit and drivers who are going to try and stretch it on fuel.
Looks like Alex Fuller is going to be one of the first cars that did pit on the most recent yellow flag, followed by Jackson West, Shane Johnson, Stoney Benfield, Brian Wertman, and others. But you got to go, I mean, you're going to have to go well outside the top 10 before you find the first driver to pit.
Absolutely. I think that is all the more fun for how this might play out, seeing some names that we didn't see up front all of a sudden making their way up there with strategy as we continue to watch this battle for P2. Now, a name we haven't said too much this evening so far, but has quietly kept himself in the picture and run a really good race. That's the 8 Chevy Camaro of Matt Semple, who has hung around towards the front for much of the night so far, working over Nick Crawford in the 74 for second place on the track. That would put Matt up 6 positions from where he started. He's been having a really good run so far.
Yeah, he really has, up 6 spots from his qualifying effort, and trying to work that outside lane of the 74 of Nick Crawford. Looks like Nick may have the opportunity to slide up in front of the 8. It's going to get close, but no cigar. Nick Crawford is able to take second place away, but hold the phone. If you know anything about Matt Semple is going to take a look down into the inside as Ryan Rose lies in the wait.
That he is, and drives it deep into turn number 3, somehow makes it stick, and clears without a slide job even necessary. Are we going to see a crossover of the crossover? Maybe not, as Crawford might look to the outside. He's just going to push the 8 down the front straightaway and try to close that gap on race leader Cody Gibson.
So now here is, we're going to have just about 10 laps to go in the stage next time by. How do you like the looks of the 8 of Matt Semple? I mean, he's been able to claw his way up through the field. If I'm Cody Gibson, I'm noticing that there's a new second place car that I haven't seen really all night. Now, he's run well up inside the top 10, right? But now he's in my rearview mirror. Now he's got the possibility to get some clean air. I'm keeping I'm keeping a very close eye on that 8 if I'm Cody Gibson.
Absolutely, and I think I've noticed a little bit of a trend so far tonight, Tom, with short-run cars versus long-run cars. Outside of Cody Gibson, who's been good with both, I think we've seen a couple of short-run drivers that start to fall back later on. The 74 of Nick Crawford, the 16 of Joshua Kanata are 2 that come to mind. They're quick on the short runs, but as the run goes on, they're struggling just a little bit. And on the flip side, Ryan Rose in the 78, he's been around on the long runs, and Matt Semple in the 8, we've already mentioned, he's up 6 positions. That's all long run speed for the 8. So these 2 battling for P2 are 2 of the better long run cars right now. And Cody Gibson, seeing that in his mirror, he's got to be wondering, okay, I've dealt with the 74, I've dealt with the 16. What do I have to do deal with these 2 new drivers?
Semple's going to get into the outside wall just a little bit. That's going to be enough to slow down and give second place to Ryan Rose. Nick Crawford's going to still tuck in to the 4th place running position behind 3rd place Matt Semple. Put second place to Ryan Rose. Started 4th out here tonight, so he's shown speed all night long in that 78 Chevy Camaro, as he's going to have a handful of laps to try to chase down the leader, Cody Gibson.
Through turns 3 and 4. Oh, go ahead, Tom.
I apologize. Other close battles happening out on track. We just joined in Matthew Pavlik and Brad Holmes making a little bit of contact. They're getting a little, Brad Holmes was able to clung onto that car there as they come through. Oh, big issues here. Alex Fuller stopped.
Alex Fuller, one of the drivers who we were looking at for the strategy call. We are under caution, but man,
I did not see the yellow flag.
That came out of nowhere, I tell you what, Tom.
All right. Well, let's take a look together. Taking a look at Alex Fuller down here on the outside.
Oh, that's an interesting one. We're gonna need a few more replays of that. Man, Larry Bell, I tell you what. If I had $1 for every time Larry Bell was caught in an incident that wasn't his doing, I'd have enough to pay for a brand new car.
All right, let's take a look down here, and it's a little difficult. I mean, Alex certainly comes down, but is that the 30?
It's hard to tell. No, it's not the 30. It's hard to tell when you don't put a number on the side of your race car. It's hard to tell who that is on track, but man, that is unfortunate for the 45. Just comes down right into the nose. Wasn't ready to have a car inside right there. Wasn't ready for that closing right. Unfortunately, a couple other drivers being involved as well. And Larry Bell and Mike Harmon a little further on.
And that is Antonio Bannister.
Antonio Bannister. All right. Antonio, driver the 10. Antonio, get some numbers on that car moving forward, please, if you would be so kind, down into turn 3. And I don't think Antonio did anything wrong here. I think this is just maybe a spotter miscue or just a misjudgment from the 45 of Alex Fuller to pull down across the track like that and then get himself into the front bumper of the 10 car right here, which it's unfortunate. I mean, those moves work 9 times out of 10, and that time there just wasn't, there wasn't the space that he thought there was going to be.
No, there was not, and that is unfortunate for Alex Fuller. Take a look at his car as he's on pit road down here, and you can see pretty significant damage on the right rear quarter panel, on the right front quarter panel, all the quarter panels of the 45.
Yep, there is not a quarter panel left that has not been touched, and I tell you what, none of our race leaders came down, and that tells me one thing for sure, Tom. We are good to go on fuel with the caution laps that we've had to save under under yellow and save to make it to the end of stage 2. So I don't think fuel is going to be a concern any further. We do have a number of drivers electing to pit. Currently on pit road, William Bruton, Stoney Benfield, Zachary Wake, Jackson West, Shane Johnson, Alex Fuller, and then we've got drivers, more drivers with damage, Larry Bell, Nicholas Sasek, Trevor Harmon, Chad Wilson, Christopher Puglisi, John Fowler, and Caleb West, all off of the track at the moment. We're getting ready to double these guys back up, and I think we're going to have a little bit of a shootout here to the end of stage 2. Tom will be restarting on lap 44 out of 50.
Cody Gibson going to be bringing us to the green flag. Now this puts Ryan Rose on the front row. Nick Crawford and Matt Semple going to be making up row number 2 here. I do like the options for Ryan Rose. I mean, we've seen him make the passes under green. Now he's got the opportunity to have clean air on that 78 on a restart here. It could be an opportunity to maybe steal a stage win.
Absolutely could be. I think row 2, I'm going to have my eyes on. The both of them, Matt Semple in the 8 on the inside, Nick Crawford in the 74 on the outside. I think a good pusher on a restart can make all the difference. We'll see which one of those two has a better restart. I'm pretty confident for Cody Gibson regardless as the control car. But Ryan Rose is going to be very much dependent on the 8 behind him on whether he gets a good push. Maybe he gets sent 3 wide into turn 1. We'll have to see how that plays out. But there's a lot of stage points up for grabs, and track position is oh so important at a track like Auto Club. You don't want to be in that dirty air as much as you can help it.
Well, we're about to find out how Stage 2 is going to end out here tonight for the Arie Designs 200 at Auto Club Speedway. Cody Gibson, the control car, and the race leader got Ryan Rose to his inside. That makes up our front row as we're going to see just a handful of laps to go in stage number 2.
Into the restart zone. Green flag is going to wave. It's a gray restart for Cody Gibson. Ryan Rose with some wheel spin keeps that car under control. Is he going to clear for second place? I do believe he will, as we're 3 wide a little further back. Down into turn 1 we roll. The 78 and the 74 are going to go at it for P2.
Looking behind position number 2, and it is just an absolute mess. See Tanner Marr working the outside lane as they come through. Gabriel Goli trying to slot his way into a stage point position out here tonight. Josh Kanata in that number 16, stuck down, maybe in a spot that he doesn't want to be in right now, as he's going to send it all the way down into turn number 3 and almost make contact with the 8 of Matt Semple, but they're going to come out the other side of the corner, clean and green.
Caught some nail-biting action on track right now as these drivers try to sort it out for some stage points. 3-car breakaway. Gibson, Rose, Crawford before you get to this Hornet's Nest right here, led by Matt Semple and Joshua Kanata. Riding on board now with Tanner Marr in the 4-car, trying to follow Matt Semple up through this chaos. Going to give him a good push down the back straightaway right here. Momentum on the high side, but the 16 car is able to pull in close and keep it just about level. Going to give him a good advantage down into turn 3.
Mark Arthur right behind them, as well as Gabriel Goli in that number 55 Ford Mustang, as these drivers, all of them, going for the stage 2 win out here tonight. We got a battle heating up for the race lead. Ryan Rose is right there with Gibson.
That's right, and we haven't seen many drivers able to contend with Gibson. His yellow flag out on track. Issues for Kyle Wellman, Dakota Moniz as well, involved in an incident down the front straightaway. See if we can't get a little replay here and see what happened to these drivers a little bit further back. It looks like this might have started a little further up. Oh yeah, it starts with the 30 of Pavlik, and then maybe a checkup and some drivers getting into other drivers. Let's see if we can find the 30 car and take another look from. Here we go. All right, heading down the front straightaway. We got a bunch of drivers racing 2-3 wide. The 30 gets into Brad Holmes, and he has to kind of check up as he's getting into him. That brings him into the 42 of Wellman. Now, all these drivers see spinning cars, and they're going to check up. The 29 gets very lucky right there. The 27 gets some contact. The 5 sides to the inside. The 19 hits the 5. And all the while, further back, the 51 drives through the 0-5 with nowhere to go as the checkup happens and gets significant damage does Chris Carroll there. And the 5 is, oh my God, the 5 takes a big hit to the pit wall. Driver who showed a lot of promise early in this race, Tom.
Absolutely. Came off of a great race last week, and the damage is not done yet, as he's going to get into the side of the 83 as they're sliding their way through the grass. Hard to control the car when you got nothing but dirt and grass underneath you. But had a great run to the start of the season last week. Came home with the podium finish last week at Daytona. But now this puts us in a really interesting spot here, Arie. We do know that the stage will end on lap number 50. Regardless of green flag or yellow flag conditions out here. We could see a couple of drivers stay out here because I do believe we may just get another yellow flag here to end the stage.
I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but I tell you what, you're not the only one with that idea, Tom. Brad Holmes and Zachary Tyler, Shane Johnson as well, gonna all stay on track. They're gonna take the chance.
So Brad Holmes, Zachary Tyler, Shane Johnson, those drivers are working their 49th lap out here right now. So the lights are not off on the pace car yet. So I do believe Brad Holmes is going to win the stage by virtue of staying out here. But that also tells me that I don't know if we're going to get another stage yellow here.
I don't think we are, but I don't know. This is going to be an interesting one. We know the rule here in the All-American Racing League, for all of you folks watching at home, is that the stage points are paid out at the end of the designated lap, regardless of green flag, yellow flag, pace car, no pace car. It is the lap no matter what. Now, if we are under green flag conditions, it will go yellow. If we are under yellow, it will stay under yellow. We're just wondering, are we going to go green on the same lap we cross the line to end the stage? And if so, will that instantly bring out another yellow? We'll see what race control decides. But in the meantime, Brad Holmes, Zachary Tyler, Shane Johnson, 3 drivers at the front of the field, staying out and willing to sacrifice the start of stage 3 to try and get some stage points with a little bit of strategy here, going for the points route as opposed to keeping their track position.
If I'm Brad Holmes, I am absolutely advocating for a yellow. Last time that Brad Holmes in that 86 Ford Mustang was down on pit road was lap 22. So most of these drivers are going to have 20 plus better laps on their cars than that 86. And Zach Tyler last came down on lap 42, so about a 6-7 lap difference there. But we are working the final lap of the stage as the lights have re-illuminated here, and it looks like we are not going to get another stage yellow here as we are now 2 laps to go.
That's right. I was just getting ready to bring it up. It looks like the race control has added another lap under yellow to extend this caution and make sure we clear the designation of lap 50. So this will be our stage 2 finishing order. Brad Holmes is going to win this stage by virtue of staying out on track. That is going to hinder him at the start of stage 3 here.
Yeah, that's a very difficult position to put yourself in, unless Brad Holmes... All right. I've got a thought, Arie. Brad qualified 15th. If he is... Hear me out here. If he is pitted after the start-finish line, could he not come down pit road, cross the finish line first, take the stage win, and also get tires here?
I think pit road might be closed. I think it might be a penalty if he tried to do that, especially given we're doubled up right now. So I don't know that it's an option, but it is an interesting thought nonetheless.
That would be a strategy that I would... You're a hard time before about my pit strategies, but he does not come down pit road, so going to be 20 plus lap difference in tires between the 86 of Brad Holmes and this row number 2 of Shane Johnson, Nolan Mills. Zachary Tyler only going to be about 6 lap older tires on the inside of the row number 1.
That's right. Brad Holmes is working significantly older tires. Brad Holmes last pit on lap 22. And he's going to be running on fumes here, Tom. Brad Holmes is going to have to come down under green very quickly. Zachary Tyler, Shane Johnson running 2nd and 3rd. Those 2 drivers pit on lap 42. So they are, for the most part, good, but they will be on older tires than those behind. who will be charging. First car on brand new tires is Nolan Milnes. Notable, Tom, that Cody Gibson lost 2 positions on that pit sequence. Is what I'm seeing in timing. It's where maybe just 1 position to Nolan Milnes right there. But he is in traffic nonetheless and on the inside line.
And it's really kind of the first time that we've seen Cody Gibson be in traffic out here tonight. These cars are going to handle different when you put some dirty air in front of them. What does Cody Gibson have out here tonight? He took the lead early in stage number 1, carried it through stage number 2, and now finds himself 5th or 6th, 5th on the restart for stage number 3.
We'll find out what Mr. Gibson can do as we get ready to send that pace car off of the track. Brad Holmes in the 86 on the outside is our control car. On the inside, Zachary Tyler in the 29, up 31 positions from where he started, by the way, as Barney with the green flag is ready to get us underway. Into the restart zone we go, and no issues for our race leaders getting up through the gears. A little bit of a stack up, but we are racing.
Brad Holmes is able to open up the race lead by about a 1, maybe a 2 car length lead as they head down into turns 1 and 2 for the first time for stage number 3. But he's got cars coming right behind him. Zachary Tyler, Nolan Milnes. Nolan Milnes trying to run those tires. Just put them on. Halfway down the backstretch here, 2nd place for that one machine.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see Nolan go way to the outside to try and clear these guys with his brand new tires. He might look to the inside right here. He's going to cut across 2 lines to the inside of Nick Crawford maybe, but Nick Crawford to the inside of the 29, first car on 4 tires across the line. Give the lead to Crawford now in control with Milnes following and Gibson right behind.
Nick Crawford was able to get to the front of the field first. Cody Gibson has only made up 1 spot throughout that first lap, as he's now going to try to make 2 on Zachary Tyler in that 29. But Brad Holmes continues his fall, started on the front row, currently runs 9th as they go right now, trying to hang on for a quick yellow flag here to save that 86's night.
Nick Crawford is loving what he's seeing right now. Cody Gibson's got to be held up by the 1, but he's not going to be held up for long. Cody Gibson makes the outside line, or the middle line, excuse me, work phenomenally through 3 and 4, and that 7 car is already up to P2, looking to hunt down Nick Crawford, our race leader.
Taking a look back just a little bit more, Nolan Milnes wasn't able to get through the traffic as good as the other drivers, and for a moment there, Arie, it looked like Nolan was going to be the one to be leading this race instead of the 74, but the line closed, the C's parted for Nick Crawford and Cody Gibson, and that put the 1 behind the 8 ball.
It certainly did, as you see the 16 get extremely tight on entry there. Gets out of the gas quick enough to avoid contact with Matt Semple in the 8. Tanner Marr has to check up getting into the 78. That's going to send us nearly 3 wide. Is Matt Semple going to stick a nose there? Yes, he is. And down into turn 1 we go. The battle is on for P4, and it is an intense one. Nick Crawford continues to lead ahead of Cody Gibson. Zachary Tyler holding on slightly older tires pretty good compared to all of the rest who had stayed out right there. And now Tanner Marr up inside the top 5 running in P4.
And Nolan in that 1 has found himself back to the 8th place running position here. Has gone the wrong way on this most recent restart here. Battle for the race lead starting to heat up. Nick Crawford and Cody Gibson, they're starting to go at it side by side down here at the start-finish line. Another lap led for the 74.
Gonna head down into turn number 1 right here. The 74 dictating the bottom line. Cody Gibson is gonna throw that Camaro in about as far as you can on that middle line. He is going to make it stick. He's going to have the momentum down the back straightaway, and that Flamin' Hot Cheetos Chevy Camaro is going to drive away from the 74 Toyota Supra of Nick Crawford. New old race leader in the form of driver 7, Cody Gibson, back in control.
And you could see the distance that they have put on 3rd place Zachary Tyler right now. Tanner Marr, the 3rd car just out of the camera shot here, is also on fresh tires. Tanner's had a pretty good restart here to begin stage number 3. Currently runs up in the 4th position, started 11th out here tonight from Auto Club. But I think Tanner's going to need a little bit of help here. So these drivers last pitted on lap number 48 here. That's going to give them, that's going to put them right on the window if this runs green.
It is going to put him right on the window. I wouldn't be surprised to see the slightest bit of saving here, though with the trends of how tonight is gone, we would expect some more yellow flags. So that might be in the minds of some of these drivers as well, as that maybe they don't have to worry about it going green all the way. They'll be ready for it too, but we have not seen an entire fuel run under green up to this point. Now would be the time, if we were going to see any, of course. Something to keep an eye on, but definitely going to be looking to make it a one-stop race from here to the end.
Zachary Tyler still hanging on to a top 10 running position after having a little bit older tires. He's in a little bit of a different boat than the majority of the race leaders. And remember, he's got about 6 lap older tires, 6 laps less fuel in that 29. So while we think that maybe some of the race leaders might be able to stretch it, and even that's a stretch, Zachary Tyler in that 29 will 100% be back down on pit road. Brad Holmes, just to kind of close the loop on Brad did come back down on pit road underneath green flag conditions and finds himself running back in 23rd place right now.
Brad Holmes is going to be 1 lap down as we run, having made that pit stop under green after losing a handful of positions. That 29 car of Zachary Tyler's down to P8 now, starting to feel those older tires, and we have our top 7 all on the same set of tires, all on that leading strategy at the moment. 2-car breakaway out front between Gibson Crawford, and you got to go back about a little over a second to get to this battle here for P3 between Tanner Marr and Matt Semple, who can't seem to get away from each other.
No, they certainly can't. Tanner Marr, Matt Semple last time by. Both of those drivers were faster than the 2 in front of them. So we'll see if these drivers decide to line up or if they decide to race for 3rd place here as they work down the backstretch. Working lap number 60 of 100 out here tonight. We're going to see 40 laps remaining.
Gabriel Goli has quietly made his way up through the field. We talked about that 55 car a number of times earlier in the race, running in the back half of the top 10. But it looks like he's finally found a way to break through, and he's currently running in P5. He's gotten himself ahead of some significant names from tonight's action. Ryan Rose, Joshua Kanata. And we'll see what that 55 can do as we see Brian Wardman in the 35 bringing it down on pit road at this point now as well. So maybe the beginning of a couple of 2-stop strategies to get to the end of the race.
Tanner Marr, Matt Semple, these drivers still having one of the closer battles out on track. Cody Gibson was able to stretch his lead from Nick Crawford there for a little bit, but Nick Crawford has kind of closed that gap back up to Cody Gibson. He's hanging really close with the 7 with the current race leader. I like the look of that 74 right now here, Arie, and that super keeping pace with Cody Gibson. The previous times that we've seen Cody Gibson get out front, we've seen him start to walk away, slowly but surely start to walk away. It's not really been the case here over these last 3 or 4 laps.
Absolutely. I think Nick Crawford has, I mean, you know, these drivers have all had 62 laps at this point to try and learn from everyone else. And Nick Crawford's one of the drivers who's been around that 7 car the most this evening, mostly following him just like this. So you got to wonder, how much is Nick Crawford able to pick up from watching that 7 car in front of him? Is he able to adapt to what Cody Gibson's doing, maybe learn a thing or two and be ready to stick around here? I think one thing we mentioned a little earlier is that I kind of put Crawford in the short run car category versus some of the other drivers on track. So as this run goes on, will we see him start to fade yet again, or is he has he turned it around? Is he going to have more long run speed this go?
Taking a look, he's running a little bit lower than the 7 of Cody Gibson right now. Now that helps him because he's getting a little bit of clean air on the front of that car, but it helps Gibson because Cody is able to take the momentum on the exit of the corners here. Take a look at the last lap versus leader lap here as they come across. What do they line up to be? Looks like going to be just about even, 2 1/1000ths of a second difference.
About as close as you can get, and what that tells me, Tom, when you're running dead even times like that, that tells me that the 74 is faster, and the dirty air is making that difference, because as the car right behind, you're going to be at an innate disadvantage. I can't put a number on how much that's worth, but in my mind, I like to put it at about a 10th. This tells me that the 74 is a little faster, but he's not fast enough to make up that dirty air, and it's just kind of equalizing these front two drivers out just a little bit. So then the difference becomes, can he make up more time on each lap, or can he wait for Gibson to make a mistake if he's going to make a mistake? Otherwise, they're just going to continue to run like this, and the longer that Nick Crawford runs at this distance behind Cody Gibson, the worse he's going to feel on his tires as a result of being in the prime area, the prime pocket of that dirty air.
But Nick Crawford has the opportunity right now. They have just under 2 seconds between them and third place right now. Nick Crawford, if he does have a run, he does have the opportunity to take a look down on the inside of Cody Gibson. It's not like they're in a position right now where we've seen it happen before out here tonight, where if you take a look down, you're going to get freight trained and have 5, 6, 7 cars go along. Nick Crawford has a little bit of wiggle room here with the 7 if he does get there.
He does. He's got nearly 2 seconds behind him to Matt Semple running in third place, which is plenty of time. If I'm the 74 and I get a run to the inside, I'm going to take it. Ideally, I think I want the outside, but I don't know, Tom. To be honest with you, Cody Gibson has looked pretty unbeatable no matter what line he's in. And, I wonder if Nick Crawford has found the pace, or if Cody Gibson is electing to just kind of go as fast as he needs to go right now. That's another question that we could consider, as Nick Crawford gets a huge run off of turn 4, tries to get to the inside, he's not going to get there. We'll see what they do down into turn number 1 here as we work lap 67 now. The top two have, they're actually starting to get reeled in a little bit. Last time by, Matt Semple is closing in on these race leaders bit by bit.
Nick Crawford has been faster than Cody Gibson the past couple of laps. Orange on the line there for Cody Gibson is slower. So last time was 300ths. The previous lap was 300ths. The previous lap was 7 100ths of a second on lap 64, 5, and 6. So we're going to see how this plays out here, as these drivers last pit on lap number 48, couple of caution laps. We do believe that our fuel window is somewhere between 20 to 24 laps. And, so it's going to be a minimum of about 9 laps before we see anybody come down on pit road, assuming that they can make another 9 laps.
A great point indeed, is Matt Semple's got a rear view mirror full of Ryan Rose battle for third place just behind these two race leaders. Tanner Marr's fallen down to P5 as we run. Ryan Rose, one of those long run cars we mentioned earlier, making his way up through the field as this run goes on, putting the pressure on that 8 car right now. That 78, all he needs is a long run, and you got to wonder if this race goes green to the end, could that 78 get up there and be a contender with these top two? As we work lap 69 out of 100, waiting for the final round of pit stops, and fuel may just come into the picture. Ryan Rose looks to the inside of Matt Semple, can't quite get there. Gonna have to tuck back in, down the back straightaway we go. Every driver from 5th place, on back, just about nose to tail in a line, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. In a bit of a pocket further behind. You got 2 cars, and then another 2 cars, and then the rest.
Nick Crawford has kind of settled in about a quarter second behind the current race leader, Cody Gibson. Taking a look right now at the battle for 4th place, Zachary Tyler, Shane Johnson, a couple of cars beginning to come down on pit road. So with, what do we have, 31 laps to go? So we're going to see those drivers come back down onto pit road at least one more time. Other battles happening out on track right now. Nolan Milnes did not get the restart for stage number 3 that he was hoping to, has found himself back in the 8th place running position for the majority of this most recent green flag run out here this evening. That's got to be frustrating, Arie. You're so close to the race lead, and then, well, the door closes and the dirty air takes over.
Absolutely, it can be, and I can't help but wonder if some of these drivers back here, some of these drivers, specifically the 16 and the 1, drivers that we've seen be a lot faster this evening, are they maybe taking it a little easy to try and find a little bit of fuel savings to get them just over the edge to make it on one stop? Could that be, maybe a little product of what we've been seeing here? It's hard to say we're not hearing Milnes turn the car off, but there's a lot of off throttle time right there, and sometimes that's all you need to save the field. He's going to get a huge run to the inside of Joshua Kanata off at turn number 4. He's going to take it to the inside. He's not going to have the help of the draft for the most part, but he's going to do what he can on the inside and take a look to the inside, maybe even as well, of the 55 of Gabriel Goli. Tries to get a nose right there, but you can see just how tight this race car is. It does not want to rotate in the center, get that front nose pointed. He's got to wait quite a while on rotating it. He is going to clear the 16, who's now in his rearview mirror, and going to get a little bit of help around Goli in the 55. It's going to be +1 position for maybe both of these drivers. Yellow flag is going to change everything.
Yellow flag is that's the issues for Jackson West in that 76. Issues on the backstretch there, and that car is absolutely destroyed.
That it is. Let's see if we can't figure out what happened here. Oh, don't tell me it's between teammates.
Oh.
Looks like it was Jackson West and Matthew Pavlik getting together. Let's see if we can't get another replay on this, maybe from a different camera angle here. Looks like Jackson West just comes in really hot and clears himself across the 30 car. You hate to see this happen, Tom, and you really hate to see this happen with a teammate.
Yeah, absolutely. This is just one of those situations where, you know, the 30 wasn't doing anything wrong, but just wasn't expecting the 76 to slide up the way that he did, and it doesn't make the conversation any easier when it's between teammates, that's for certain.
Certainly does not. It has not been a good night for those guys so far in Auto Club. A little bit of a tale of two races from last week's race in Daytona to tonight in Auto Club for that team. But we're getting ready to make some pit stops right here. Under caution for the 6th time, we are going to be working lap 73 across the line, which puts us at the very reaches of the fuel window, Tom. From here, I think you can make it with some fuel saving, but you're going to have to save some fuel.
Some drivers may be able to make it with some fuel saving, but if you're Cody Gibson, if you're Nick Crawford, if you're Ryan Rose, you're going to have to be strategic about how you do it, because if you're out front, you don't have as much draft cut in the air for you. So we're going to see which of these drivers come out, and if we see any strategic plays on this next restart. But it's hard to play a strategic play when there's only 25 laps to go in the race.
Absolutely. It's a great point that you make right there, and it's the tough spot to be in when you're leading the race. Is Nick Crawford going to beat Cody Gibson off the line? Yes, he does. Ryan Rose gets out 3rd. Tanner Marr going to make up a spot. Nolan Milnes, Matt Semple, Joshua Kanata in that order off of the pit lane. You can see a number of drivers still on pit road getting some damage fixed while they have the opportunity under yellow. And now we begin to wonder, I tell you what, I'm curious enough. Why don't we jump on board with race leader Nick Crawford, who, you guessed it, has that engine turned completely off right now. Got Cody Gibson, engine is off. Ryan Rose, engine is off. Tanner Marr, engine is off. Nolan Milnes, Matt Semple, he's got the engine on at the moment. There he goes. He cuts it off. Joshua Kanata, engine is off. Joey Gattina, he is running with the clutch in at the moment. Gabriel Goli, he is going to turn it all the way off. Mark Arthur, he's got it all the way off. We're going to see a couple of drivers come down on pit road. Joey Gattina is going to top off on fuel. I like this call, Tom. When you're this close on fuel that the entire field is cutting their engine off under yellow, come down and top off. Why not? If you're not the race leader, if you're not in the top 3, come down and take that extra lap, because that's a lot less fuel saving.
Absolutely, and we can never count out, with as close as the racing that we've seen out here tonight, Arie, we can never count out the possibility of an overtime, green-white checkered, whatever you want to call it, finish out here tonight. Right now, these drivers' last pit on lap number 73, that's putting them at 27 laps with a couple of caution laps here. So right on the window, they get an overtime finish. Yeah, I don't like it for any of them.
I don't either, and I tell you what, I'm glad that I'm up here in the booth, Tom, because if we do get that late caution, we do get that overtime situation, I think it's going to be absolute cinema, as they say, for you and I, especially not being behind the wheel. We'll see how it plays out, but Nick Crawford has another opportunity to control this race. Can he this time hold off Cody Gibson, the hard charger, the dominating car this evening, who got around him on that last run? Now Crawford was able to stick with him. He's going to have another opportunity to control the restart right here from the outside line. He does have Turnamar right behind him. Ryan Rose could be a dark horse contender as well. We've seen the long run speed out of that 78. Pace car is going to peel off this time, and we're going to get ready to settle it.
It's about time we figure out who's going to win the Arie Designs 200 at Auto Club Speedway out here tonight. Up to the green flag. Barney's going to send them on their way. Nick Crawford, Cody Gibson going to be the first up through the gearboxes as they race side by side down into turn number 1. Big push from the inside. Ryan Rose giving the 7 the back bumper massage as they head down to turn number 1, but it's all the 74 up front.
All Nick Crawford at the moment is we're nearly 3 wide for P4 back there. The drivers get it all sorted out. That's Nolan Mills and that black and orange Camaro down on the inside. Turnamar peeks the nose out, but he's not going to get there. Single file into turn number 3. Everyone's going to fan out to their preferred line as Nick Crawford leads the field. Now, I wouldn't be surprised, Tom, if a driver like Cody Gibson isn't in a rush to get out front. Maybe he fancies being in the draft of that 74 to try and save a little bit of fuel.
You have to be in a rush, though, Arie, with just 24, 23 laps to go next time. Eventually, the good is going to wear on the tires. You're going to start to feel the effects of the dirty air. And if Nick Crawford somehow manages to save enough that he can go when you're ready to go, it's going to be a difficult pass to make.
Take a look at this speedometer on the screen. Matt Semple has turned his engine off. You can hear it fire back up right here. Or he's thrown the clutch in. We heard this down into turn 1 as well, as he's going to follow Turnamar on the outside right here. This is driver Matt Semple running in P4, so he is up here with about as much track position as you get. You can hear him shut the engine down into turn number 1 right there. And that tells you the level of fuel saving that we're seeing even out of the drivers with track position all the way up front.
Yeah, you absolutely are. Nick Crawford has opened up a lead just about 1/10 of a second, so put the top 2 leaders right up on top of each other. Turnamar having a solid podium run so far out here tonight. What does the 4 machine have out here this evening? Or will it be another driver, Matt Semple, Gabriel Goli? Gabriel's probably ran the quietest race out here tonight, Arie. Started 13th on the board and haven't said his name for anything other than just kind of moving up throughout the field tonight.
He certainly has. Gabriel Goli's run a fantastic race tonight. Sometimes being the quietest driver on track is a good way to go. It's one of the best ways to run these races. It means you're keeping your nose clean. It means that you're not involved in any of the drama, and you're slowly but surely picking them off one by one. Up here now, running in P5. He's had a good run tonight. He's done everything he's needed to do.
He absolutely has. He's going to be in contention out here tonight for a possible podium finish or a race win. But Gabriel Goli having a strong run out here tonight. Sliding back a little bit, we're going to take a look at Ryan Rose, Joshua Kanata, Mark Arthur, and this crew of about 5 or 6 cars running for about the 6th place position, being led by Nolan Milnes right now. This battle for the top 4, Arie, has kind of come together here. Crawford through Semple, they're kind of all on top of each other right now.
They are, and they might even bring Goli in to that picture as well. And I think this a big part of this, Tom, is going to be a product of drivers wanting to tuck in as close as they can to the guy in front while they're working on getting to their number on fuel. They're going to use that draft. They're going to run partial throttle down the straightaway. They might even throw the clutch in on corner entry, or at the very least, they're going to let out of the gas a little bit earlier. They're not going to use as much brake pedal to, kind of make that difference on just rolling out of the throttle and staying out of those high rev ranges. And if you're a driver like Nick Crawford out front, you've got to do the toughest job right now, which is to be ready for the second you have any pressure behind for the race lead and somehow still save enough fuel without any drafting help.
top 5 breakaway. Nick Crawford, Cody Gibson, Tanner Marr, Matt Semple, Gabriel Ngoli. That's how they run right now, and it's about a second behind those drivers before you see 6th place. Nolan Milnes and Joshua Kanata running back in 7th. Hearing a lot more fuel saving in that second pack than we are the front pack here, Arie. That's a little concerning for these top 5.
I think that's a product of the track position, Tom. If you're in the top 5, you almost...
You can't.
Yeah, you're almost obligated to run a little bit harder and be a little riskier on the fuel because you just don't want to give up. You know, if you're Cody Gibson, you're already in 2nd place. You're the fastest car on track right now, but you've already given up that. You don't want to give up any more, so you're going to run as hard as you can, or as hard as you need to, excuse me, and try to save as much, but, you know, at the risk of it. He's going to let teammate Tanner Marr get to the inside of him right here, and he might even let him take that position off of turn number 2. He's going to leave the door open for Tanner to clear, and there he goes. So the 74 of Crawford, I think, is the really interesting person in this equation, Tom, because of how far out he's getting right now. Is Crawford able to save as much? Is he banking on another caution?
Matt Semple also going to make his way around Cody Gibson, put the 7 machine driver who's led a whole bunch of laps out here tonight back to the 4th place running position, as we see just 17 laps to go in tonight's event. Again, drivers did come down on pit road. Lap number 73. I believe a fuel window is between 20 and 24 laps out here, so a couple of caution laps do help their case. But 3 laps is a whole lot around here to save, and that is on the conservative side of the scale.
That it is, as Cody Gibson maybe looks to the outside of Matt Semple. Not for position, just peeks a nose out there for some clean air. Down the front straightaway we go, and race leader Nick Crawford is pulled ahead to about half a second lead over Tanner Marr, running in 2nd place now. As we run Tanner Marr up 9 positions from where he started. That gap outside of the top 5 to 6th on back currently sits about a second and a half to those other drivers, saving a little more fuel further back. Now look at this. Cody Gibson is going to drop back to P5, giving up the spot to Goli.
Matt Semple's going to take a look down onto the inside of Tanner Marr for 2nd place. And I believe Tanner's going to let him have that position as they're going to come around. They're going to get 15 laps to go. At some point, Arie, though, it's got to be difficult for Cody Gibson there. I mean, now he's 4 positions back on the race lead. How many more positions can you give up?
I'm listening to the engines right here, Tom, not to interrupt you, but just to kind of see if these drivers are cutting their engines off. They are. Tanner Marr in 2nd, or in 3rd, excuse me. Cody Gibson down in 5th. Race leader Nick Crawford, I'm still wondering about. He's cutting it off. So, I mean, I was curious, Tom, if any of these drivers had decided that they weren't happy saving and if they just wanted to push instead, if it was, you know, that tight. But it seems like it's possible for everyone. They're still all going for it.
The entire top 5 running within 1.3 seconds of each other. Matt Semple within a half a second. Tanner Marr 3/4 of a second. And Gabriel Ngoli has made his way up to a second behind the race leader, as that stretches a little bit on the backstretch here. But they keep this up here. Nolan Milnes is kind of starting to come into the camera frame here, Arie.
He certainly is, and we know Nolan Milnes, a part of that pack a little bit further back. He's had plenty of time to be saving fuel. He hasn't been putting the pressure on these guys up front. He let that gap form. He was hanging out with these guys a little further back in the top 10, and you know during that time he's just been saving fuel and taking it easy. So now he's going to be kind of making a little bit of a harder charge towards the end, and you know we're going to see the inverse of that, I think, with race leader Nick Crawford, who's doing a lot of the pushing now, and he's going to have to really step up the saving later. I think when it comes to fuel strategy like this, a lot of it is just when you choose to save and how much you're saving during those times. Cody Gibson, he's giving up a lot in the middle part of this run right here, giving up positions, running easy. That's where he's electing to do it. Nolan Milnes did it at the start. Nick Crawford, he's going to have to do it at the end. as we run. So this is all going to converge in such a way at the end that, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a driver or 2 or 3 run out of fuel trying to push it. We might see a driver who we didn't expect start picking up positions and making their way towards the front, having saved enough. So I think it's a fascinating situation that we're in as we sit here with 12 laps to go.
Taking a look real quick at the drivers that did top off. They lost a little bit of track position to begin this green flag run that we're currently on right now. Joey Gattina came down 1 lap additional, so he's got maybe half a gallon more, which is probably about a lap around here, maybe a little bit less than a lap, but came down on lap number 74. And then other drivers that did the same, Chris Carroll and Brian Wertman, those drivers running back in 15th, 18th, and 19th right now, as we see more drivers. Last week's winner, Zachary Wade, come down onto pit road, and he is being joined by Zachary Tyler.
Couple of drivers deciding they aren't happy to make it from there. They'll be able to push all the way from here and maybe pick up any spots from drivers who run out towards the end.
Matt Semple, last couple of laps, he's really closed this distance between the 74 and the 8. We're going to have a battle for the race lead here, and this puts Nick Crawford in a difficult position here. Maybe Matt Semple thinks that he has saved enough that now he can push and run his times. Last time by, he was 2/10 faster than Nick Crawford. This time by, he is 1/10.5 faster than Nick Crawford. This puts the 74 in a difficult spot because you see it coming in the mirror. You got to make a decision here as we have just 10 laps to go. You either got to determine that you can make it from here and race the 8, or let him go and hope that he did his calculations wrong.
Absolutely. I think we're going to see that battle heating up in a second. And I tell you what, the battle is heated up in the back half of the top 5. Nolan Mills decided it was go time, but so did Joshua Kanata in the 16 pole sitter on tonight's event. Going to work that high side. He's going to try and get around Nolan Mills, who he was running with for much of the start of stage 3 right here, a driver who might be directly correlating on the fuel numbers. Cody Gibson starts to make his way back up. He got past the 55. Now he's going to try and work over teammate Tanner Marr in the 4. And he's going to get there to the outside as Tanner's a little further off the pace right now, fuel saving wise. Cody Gibson might have hit his number and decided it was go time for him as well.
You can see Nolan Mills taking a look down onto the inside. Going to be 3 wide on the entry to turn number 3. Tanner Marr in the middle. Cody Gibson up on the outside. Nolan Mills trying to slide up and take 2 for 1 down in turn number 3. It looks like he may get 1 spot here, or there may even be additional. Well, no, they're just going to cross over, and we're going to have a different 3-wide situation.
That we are, and the 16's going to have to decide where he wants to go. To the outside, tucks in behind Milnes, and into turn number 1 we go. We're still just about 3 wide as Tanner Marr fights on the inside. He's going to slide up the track. He's going to get into the 1 and save it off of the corner. Does the 4 car. Tanner's going to lose a couple of spots right here to the 16 and the 55 maybe. Down into turn number 3. Here comes the 39 on brand new tires. He just made his pit stop, electing not to save fuel, so he's got to be careful not to run these drivers over. 78's got to check up for him as well. This is a bit of a hornet's nest up here as we run.
See some sparks coming off of the wall where drivers are making incidental contact with the outside retaining wall on the exit of turn number 4 as they're racing 2 and 3, and even at times maybe even 4 wide. But battle for the race lead, Nick Crawford, Matt Semple. Those drivers have stayed together, but the closest battles out on track right now is between Nolan Mills, Cody Gibson, Joshua Kanata, Tanner Marr, and this group of 5 or 6 or 7 cars as they race down the backstretch. Big look for the 16 of Josh Kanata.
Big look to the inside. And the biggest thing, Tom, is that 1 and that 16 are ahead of the 7. I think the harder time they give Cody Gibson, the more likely it is that we might see a different winner. Cody Gibson's been the favorite all night long with how he's run, but if he has a hard enough time with this traffic, fuel or otherwise might not matter, as these guys are giving him a fit of a time. And let's not forget about this battle for the race lead up here between the 74 and the 8. Matt Semple, he's closed into the rear bumper. We do have that 39 of Zachary Wake. He is not a part of this battle. He's on brand new tires, just came down, and he'll be unlapping himself through turns 3 and 4, assuming he doesn't get blocked off right here by Crawford. He's going to send it to the inside. Going to have to check up a little bit, but he should be removing himself from this battle, and now it is game on. As we cross the line, it is going to be 5 laps to go.
10 miles of racing, that's what remains out here tonight in the Arie Designs 200. And Matt Semple takes the first look down onto the inside of Nick Crawford for a potential lead change down here. To the inside goes Matt Semple, not able to have the momentum that he needs to actually make the pass, but that put the 74 on notice, and now he knows Matt Semple is ready to move.
You got to watch out for that one car of Nolan Milnes, the car running in 3rd place. He's clear to chase down these top 2 leaders, and that is what he is doing at the moment. If you're the 74, if you're the 8, you want to get this figured out as quick as you can. And the 8 of Matt Semple, he is now to the inside of Crawford. He's going to try and pull a little side draft. He's not there across the line, but going into turn 1, Matt Semple is going to have the opportunity to make the run. He is going to send it deep into the corner. That tells me that Matt Semple did not throw the clutch in on corner entry to save fuel. He pushed it a little harder right there just to get that track position just to clear, and that is going to sort the top 2 out. Now Nolan Milnes in 3rd place. He's going to start to close in on the 74 and maybe have a look as soon as he gets there.
And now that Nick Crawford's running in 2nd place, I think he's picked it up a little bit here, Arie. We saw him fight Matt Semple the last couple of laps, as we're going to see 3 laps remaining, 6 miles to go out here tonight. Don't count out that one machine. That one may be in the best spot.
The one may be in the best spot. Joshua Kanata in the 16 is back up into the top 5. Ryan Rose trying to work over Tanner Marr for P5 on track. All of these drivers in it with a shot, as it's going to come down to fuel in the closing laps. Who has enough? Who can make it? And will the battle for the race lead remain between these two? As it looks like Joshua Kanata is going to work over Nolan Milnes, who is now significantly off the pace. Perhaps Nolan Milnes did not do his calculations right as he's falling back.
He's going to lose 1, 2, and be in danger of losing 2 or 3 more spots here to Tanner Marr and Ryan Rose down there. But these drivers all going now as we have just 2 laps remaining. Matt Semple has opened up about a half-second distance lead between himself and 2nd place Nick Crawford. Josh Kanata is the driver on the move, though. Last time by, he was faster than the 2 in front of him.
That he is, through 3 and 4 and to the line. We're going to see the white flag for Matt Semple in the 8 car. This time by, has Matt Semple saved enough fuel as he is being chased down by a hungry pack of wolves behind? Get that white flag ready, and we are a go to the end. Who can make it?
Matt Semple leads a pack of hungry drivers right behind him. Nick Crawford under fire from Ryan Rose, who's under fire from Josh Kanata. Nolan Milnes not too far behind. They're going to be 3 wide. Matt Semple loves to see this in his rearview mirror. It may be the 78 who's got the first shot at the 8 down into turn number 3.
It very well could be. Down the back straightaway we go. We've got the speedometer up there, and we're watching the speed for Matt Semple. Does he have the fuel? Can he make it through 3 and 4 for the final time for driver number 8? And up onto the gas pedal one more time. It's blipping. He's running out. Ryan Rose isn't going to have time. And across the line, Matt Semple is our winner in Auto Club.
What an absolute nail-biter finish. We didn't know who was going to take the checkered flag out here tonight as Matt Semple sputters across the line for tonight's race at Auto Club. Arie, that was a lot of fun to watch.
That was. I saw the speedometer start to blip a little, and I thought that was all Ryan Rose needed. But it looks like there was just enough in the tank for Matt Semple to get across the line, and he's going to have enough to get all the way back around one more time. I don't know if he'll get a burnout out of it, but our race winner tonight drove a fantastic race, drove a fantastic final stage, the perfect mix of fuel saving and aggression for that track position.
Absolutely. Matt Semple begins his donuts out here tonight and is going to lock himself into the playoffs from the All-American Racing League that begin in March. So a couple of months, and these drivers are going to be going for a championship. But tonight, it's all checkered flags, black and white, for Matt Semple as he's going to park that 8 Chevy Camaro at the start-finish line, and we're going to try to grab your top 3 finishers out here this evening: Ryan Rose, Joshua Kanata, and Matt Semple as they come across.
All right, we've got our third place finisher. It's the 16 car. It's Joshua Kanata, who was the pole sitter tonight. Josh, and you had a really good start to the race, a really good kind of first half, and we saw you kind of fade back a little bit towards the back half of the top 5, top 10 as the race went on. But then once fuel strategy kind of came into the picture, you just kind of rode around, bided your time a little bit, saved some fuel, and towards the end, you were able to make a pretty impressive run up towards the front. Tell us about it.
Yeah, start of the race didn't quite go how I'd hoped. Cody was definitely fighting for that clean air as hard as he could, and I just couldn't hold him off at the beginning. Kind of got me caught up with a little bit of a battle towards the end of the first stage, and yeah, towards the end it was a little bit of fuel saving, a little bit of tire saving. I know a couple of guys were really close. I probably only have maybe a tenth of a gallon left even sitting here, but I'm glad I was able to kind of work my way through with the 1, and I think he almost ran out in the 78 as well, just about ran out at the line. So definitely taking a few notes out of their book, just saving the tires and make sure I had enough fuel to get there.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, it worked out pretty good coming home with a podium finish here in race number 2 in the All-American Racing League. It's been a pretty good start to the season for you. We've seen that 16 car up front a fair bit in both events. You come out tonight, you set the pole. You're definitely up there and competitive with the best of these guys. How does that have you feeling moving forward into the season now that we've kind of gotten our first more traditional style of oval out of the way?
Speed's definitely there. Sitting on the pole for the first 2 weeks, just gotta put it together over a full race. No, it feels pretty good to be able to be fighting with these guys for, stage points and wins. I know it'll come here sooner or later. Just gotta find a way to keep it clean and put it together for a whole event.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, 2 good weeks in a row. We look forward to see what we get out of you next week. Before we send you down, we'll open up the floor to you, Josh, to any Hayes Highs, shout-outs, thank yous, and all of the sort for your performance tonight.
Absolutely. First off, thank you guys for putting this on. It's always fun to watch. Our sponsors that keep this league going. It's a lot of fun to race with these guys. Obviously, a lot of new faces. Myself being one of them. It's a ton of fun so far. Here's hoping I can be up here next week, maybe a little bit higher than third.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations again, Josh. We'll send you down to celebrate with the rest. And I do believe my co-host is caught up with our second place finisher.
That I have, Arie, and second place finisher out here tonight, Ryan Rose in that number 78. Ryan, Tom, and Arie up in the booth. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How about y'all?
Yeah, we're out of breath. I'm sure you guys are as well, but those last 15, 20 laps there, we saw some cars coming, we saw some cars going. At what point did you ever, if ever, did you make the determination that you were good on fuel and that you were going to go for it there?
I kind of wasn't good on fuel all the way through. I just kind of I just started saving because that last caution, because I remember the recruitment race here, and I had to save a bunch, kind of a similar situation. And I basically just said with 15 to go, screw it.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can never count out the opportunities for green-white checkered overtime finishes out here tonight. Ryan, last week at Daytona, everybody took to the track for the All-American Racing League for the first time. You started 8th out there, and you finished 9th. Tonight, you started 4th and finished 2nd. I like the looks of it for Phoenix. I mean, we're going in the right direction. Maybe we start 3rd and finish 1st next week.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to be here because I got a dog sit.
Oh.
But yeah, I wish I could have been because Phoenix is another great track for me. I know I think I was better than Arie, but I don't know in the preseason stuff. But yeah.
All right. Well, next week we go out to Phoenix. We're going to be missing that 78 out there, but then we're going to go out to Dover, Sonoma to start to do some road course racing. Where can we expect to see, as the season goes along, see that 78 really excel? Short tracks, road courses. What do you really enjoy doing?
I mean, I really enjoy road courses, but with this thing, I'm not as good as I was with like the next gen or like the Arca car, but short tracks, I pretty much like everything except like Darlington. That place sucks in my opinion, but I'm not really good there. But yeah.
All right, Ryan, 100 laps down out here tonight. Congratulations on a second place finish. Want to open up the floor for you. Anybody you want to say hello to watching you come home with a podium finish? The floor is all yours.
I just want to thank my mom, my dad, my grandpa, Brett's Electric. They're on the car and they helped me out a lot in real life. And I also I want to apologize to Josh. I know I put him in the wall. I think last week I made some contact with Kyle and put him up there, and I put him in the wall a little bit early, just being too aggressive. And I want to say sorry to Josh there. But yeah.
Close quarter racing out here all evening long. Ryan Rose, second place finisher. Let you go debrief and unpack that 78 after tonight's race.
Yeah.
All right, and our big winner, the Maple Missile out here tonight, Arie Heinzman's got the winner, driver number 8.
That I do. Matt Semple down here in Victory Lane. I tell you what, it only took 2 races in the All-American Racing League for a Canadian to come and spoil the party, but you gotta love to see it. Matt, it was a phenomenal run from you this evening. Towards the start, we were kind of mentioning that you had a quiet run going. You were consistently moving up. You were just kind of picking them off one by one. You found yourself in the top 5, and while, we saw comers and goers throughout the night, you just seemed to not really ever lose positions for the most part, and at the end there, when it came down to fuel saving to try and stretch it to the end, you found the perfect balance of fuel saving and aggression for track position. Just walk us through that final run and your race as a whole, and just what's going through your mind during that.
Yeah, I had good practice from Tuesday night racing here in the trucks in the Cyber League, so that was nice to kind of relay that to tonight. So kind of had the lines already figured out. I know these cars handle a little bit differently than the trucks, but had the line figured out, kind of knew how to save tire or make tire last a little longer than everybody else, and it seemed to kind of work out that way where I could see where guys were pushing really hard going into 1 or going into 3. So wasn't too scared to let those guys pass me because you knew you'd see them in about 5 laps. But yeah, just tried to have a clean race, tried to run smooth, consistent lines, got stuck on the bottom for a lot of those restarts there where I wanted the high side, so just tried to work to the high side as fast as possible. And then the final run there, it was funny because my teammate Brad Holmes, he was on a different strategy because he wanted to win the stage and then got put behind the 8 ball there. So I was trying to work strategy for him in my mind while trying to work my own strategy, and just as soon as the final caution came out, I was like, all right, well, let's save a lap to make sure we're good, and then if I really need to push in the final 5 to 10 laps, then I have something in the tank that I can do that with, and I don't have to kind of limp around the track and try and save my stuff. So that's what the game plan was, and it worked out all right. The only thing that really had me sweating there at the end was Ryan coming in the 78. I saw all race that he was really good at saving his tires. So when I saw him climbing up the leaderboard there with about 10 to go, I was getting a little nervous, but I'm just glad we came out on top.
Absolutely. I know what it's like to be the team strategist while you're trying to figure out your own race, and it worked out pretty good for you tonight, Matt. Tom and I have seen you race and raced with you a bunch, but for some of those out there watching you race for the first time, whether they came in from another driver or what have you, as we get ready to dive into the season here for the All-American Racing League, what are your go-to tracks? This is I'm going to steal this from Tom, who asked P2 finisher Ryan Rose, but what's your go-to? Short tracks, road courses, intermediates? What's your bread and butter?
I feel really good on short tracks, but not to sound cocky at all, but there's there's a handful of tracks that I hate to see on the schedule, but for the most part, I don't see why there's not, the 8 car can't put himself in the top 10 everywhere we go for the most part. So I mean, there's tracks I love to see, there's tracks I hate to see, but I would say I'm more of a short track to maybe road course guy. super speedways.
All right.
Obviously, anything can happen to anybody, but yeah.
I like it. I like it. All right. Well, congratulations on a job well done tonight, Matt. That was awesome to see. It was a great performance in Stage 3. We'll open up the floor to you to give any Hayes highs, thank you, shout-outs, and all the likes for putting the 8 car in victory lane.
Yeah, thanks to you guys for broadcasting the race. I'm looking forward to going back and watching. I feel like there's a lot of action tonight, so looking forward to doing that. Thanks to the race sponsor. I forget the gentleman who sponsored it, but thank you for that. Thanks for Cody and Tanner for putting this league on. Having a lot of fun so far in these first 2 weeks. And thanks to everybody who comes out. From what I've seen so far, the guys I've raced around, everybody's super clean, respectful. So, I mean, you love to see that. And thanks to my friends and family who are watching. Thanks to my smoking hot wife and my daughter for letting me do this.
All right, well, there you have it. Race winner in round number 2. Driver of the 8 car, Matt Semple, gets it done, closing in on the checkered flag with fuel on the fritz. Outlasts the rest of them, Tom, and I think that was about as exciting a race as you're going to get.
It absolutely was, and Matt Semple was running strong all night long, but Cody Gibson was the man out front for the majority of the night, and he comes home 7th out here tonight, so I don't know if you would call it a surprise winner, but an unexpected winner if there's a difference.
Absolutely, and just as easy as you can lose him this way, in the case of Cody Gibson, you can also win him this way. And I think Matt Semple is one of those drivers who would be in that position. He can go out there and be the fastest car on any given night. He found one, he picked one up today, and what goes around comes around. So we'll see how it swings next time. But Matt Semple comes out on top with tonight's event. Our race winner in the 8 car P2, it's Ryan Rosen. The 78 came oh so close ahead of Joshua Kanata in P3, our pole sitter as well. Nick Crawford in the 74 brings us home in P4 ahead of Nolan Milnes, rounding out the top 5. Just outside of the top 6, Tanner Mara in the 4 car ahead of Cody Gibson in the 7. Mark Arthur finishes 8th, Gabriel Ngoli in 9th, and rounding out the top 10, it's Dakota Moniz.
And outside the top 10 is Stoney Benfield. He's going to come home 11th out here tonight. Joey Katina had a little bit of extra gas in that car in case he needed it out here tonight. Was not the case. Comes home 12th. Antonio Bannister is going to come home 13th, followed by Chris Carroll. Eli Sasek's going to round out the top 15. Zachary Wake going to come home after a win last week at Daytona with a 16th place finish. Brian Wertman, Zachary Tyler, Kyle Wellman, and Shane Johnson are the top 20.
In 21st, it's Nicholas Sasek ahead of Brad Holmes, in 22nd. Matthew Pavlik in 23rd. Alex Fuller brings us home in 24th ahead of Jackson West in 25th. Joseph Klein in the 5 car finishes 26th ahead of William Bruton in 27th. Brian Troy finishes in 28th. Trevor Harmon and Larry Bell round out the top 30.
And rounding out our field of 34 drivers out here tonight for the Arie Designs 200 is going to be race sponsor Chad Wilson. Thanks to Chad for picking up the sponsorship for tonight for the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. Christopher Puglisi going to be coming home in 32nd, followed by John Fowler in 33rd, and an early night for Caleb West in the 48.
I'll tell you what, 2 races down, many still to come, and oh boy, we have had quite the start of the season, if I do say so myself, Tom. We get ready to head down to the desert for next week's race in Phoenix. That should be a good one. It's the shortest track we've done so far, and I'm excited to see what we see out of these drivers. We did a preseason race in Phoenix, as a matter of fact, 1 week before the season began, and I was able to share the track with these drivers in that event and kind of see, what I got out of everyone. I think the 78 of Ryan Rose is going to be a contender there. I think the 74 and the 16 are both going to be contenders there. 3 drivers who we saw up front tonight as well. So looking forward to the storylines as they are developing. But through 2 races, we've got 2 different winners in the 39 and the 8. Will we make it 3 different winners in 3 races next week in Phoenix?
Absolutely. Phoenix going to be a lot of fun to watch. If you enjoyed tonight's broadcast, make sure that you click that like button, click the subscribe as well. Get notified every single time we go live here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. Arie will be here for all of them, and I'll be here for most of them here as we follow along the storylines of the All-American Racing League. So grateful and thankful to have the opportunity to come over here, and a big shout out to the admins, Cody Gibson, Tanner Marr, over here, allowing us to come out and join them on a Saturday night.